Okay, in the slow pan, the camera moved down and the bunnies appeared. Um, the next thing to happen in the film is that the camera is going to sweep left and focus in on Lucky Dog, who's walking, and he's going to then walk up to the bunnies. So we got to do that camera move to the left, and that's going to be a quick pan. So if you'll just open up the Bunny Biz slow pan that we did last time and resave it, we're going to call it Bunny Biz Quick Pan, like that. All right. Now we're in scene 1, and I'm going to go to frame 85 of both the title and the fader layers because I need to. We're going to be extending the layers, and I don't want the title and the fader to show up in later frames. So I'm going to control press, insert blank keyframe for those two. All right. Now I'm going to need another rectangle of green to be the grass, and I need it to be the same color as the one that we're already using with the bunny holes in it. Alright, so I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it above the bushes and beneath the ground. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it grass. So that's the grass layer. Alright, and then on this layer, I'll go to 241. On this new grass layer, 241, I'll insert a blank keyframe. Okay, and let me just fix this so you can see it all. Okay, and alright, now I'm going to go back in the movie, and what I've got to do is I've got to find, there it is, go back here to where the holes are. The holes movie clip, by the way, they're on the ground layer. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go to the grass layer that I just made in this keyframe on 241. I'm going to Shift Command V to paste in place. Alright, now I'm going to do a swap duplicate on this because this is going to be just grass. So I'll do swap duplicate. I'll call this new symbol grass. Okay. Now, so I don't want the holes, I don't want the bunnies in there at all. So I'm going to go inside the symbol. I'll delete these top layers, 1, 2, and 3, because they have the bunny clip symbols in them. Okay. And then these circles I don't need because I need this to be the plain grass. There we go. Okay, so that is done. Alright. Next, I'm going to move this grass movie clip there to the left of the stage until it's lined up right with it. Going to get the free transform tool, and I need to stretch this bigger than the stage. I'm going to move the transformation point to the left center so that I can drag this to the right, like so. Drag a little past. There we go. So now I have a good ground plane. When I move the camera left and right, I've got plenty of ground plane. I don't have to worry about it disappearing. Okay. Now it's time to extend the layers for some of these other layers. The ground, bushes, tree, and mountain layers, I'm going to extend them out to 245. So here we go, 245 for the ground with a keyframe because a change is going to happen. So I'll do F6 for the bushes, F6 for the tree, F6, and for the mountains, F6. Okay. Now I'm going to make another keyframe at 250 for those same layers. Here we go. Once again, F6 for the ground, F6 for the bushes, F6 for the tree, F6 for the mountains. Between here, between 245 and 250 is going to be that anticipation camera move. Because before the camera moves left, the camera is going to lurch to the right before it swings left to try to imitate what is actually done when a camera is held by a human being. There's this anticipation move and then the swing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create that anticipation move. So between 245 and 250 is where that lurch anticipation move of the camera is going to happen. All right. So if the camera is going to move to the right, that means that the objects on the stage have to move left, because that's going to create the illusion that the camera is moving right. So on 250, I'll nudge. Going to nudge these objects left. I won't do the mountains yet because they're way in the distance, but I will nudge the bushes and the trees. I got those two, and then yeah, the holes too. Let's see here. Ground layer. Okay, I got those. Let me get the arrow. Hold down the shift key. I'll get the bushes and the trees. Okay, so I've got those three symbols. I'm going to nudge them left until the holes are right there at the edge. That's enough of a move. Okay. All right, now the mountains need to move too, but just not as much. So I'm going to go back to the mountains layer and going to nudge that left just a few clicks. You know, there it is. I might nudge it like that. Okay, so that moves just a little bit, being in the distance like that. All right, now it's time for the big sweep, the big sweeping move to the left of the camera. And that's going to happen between frames 250 and 270. So I'm going to go out to 270. I'll make a keyframe for the ground, the bushes, the trees, and the mountains. And I'm going to need to zoom out here, because this is where these objects, since the camera is moving left, the objects are going to move way to the right. So I'll start with the ground with that holes movie clip. I'll hold down the shift key and get the bushes and the trees. Not the mountains yet. They're not going to move as quickly, so I'll wait and do those after. All right, so I've got those three symbols. I'm going to move them to the right. Hold down the shift key, right arrow, and move them to the right about that far until this second group of the second bush here is centered, and there's just a little bit of tree right there. Okay, so that'll make that camera swing. If you'll notice, let's see, here we go. Things are like this, then there's a brief anticipation move, and then the big swing of the camera to the left. All right, now the mountains will move some, just not as much. So I need to go to 270 of the mountain layer. Okay, and going to move that. Let's see here. Oh, well, you know, before I do that, I need to put a blur on the holes, the bushes, and the trees, because they're moving and they're going to blur. And so we're going to go to properties, make sure your chain is off, because we're going to put a different value on the X blur than we do on the Y. Okay, so the X blur is going to go all the way up to 35 because it's a horizontal move, and that's the way the blur should go. We'll give a little bit of vertical blur, just like 5 pixels. Okay. 6, 5. There we go. Okay. All right. Now going to go to the mountains and going to increase that blur up to 15 horizontally. Not as much because, again, they're far away. And let's see. Okay, and then now, yeah, it's time to move the mountains to the right also. About, let's see. Oh, get over here, select that again. And there, okay, I'm going to move the mountains to the right so that that first brown mountain is just to the right center of the sun there, like that. Okay. All right, now once again, we started this with an anticipation move, and now at the end of the pan there's a correction. There's a little bit of a snap back. It's going to be like the anticipation move is going to be 5 frames long. So we're going to go out to 275 of these same layers. Let's see. We'll do actually just the bushes. We'll do F6, the tree, and the mountains. Okay. All right, now we're going to nudge the bushes and the trees a little bit. There's the bushes, there's the trees. All right, the camera will correct, so they're going to go to the left a little bit, about like maybe where it's just, maybe where the bushes are just off the stage just a little bit. Okay, and then the mountains will have to do the same, but much less. I'll just nudge them a little bit like that. Okay, and now hopefully you can see. All right, here's the static scene. Before the camera moves, there's an anticipation move of the camera to the right. Then the big sweep left, and then there's a blur. And then there's a correction as the camera zooms in. The correction is between here and here. Okay. Now, after it's done here at frame 275, the blur should disappear. So I'm going to select the trees and the bushes and take their blurs down to 0 on frame 275. The mountains, they're in the distance, so they're going to keep a blur but not as strong. I'm going to bring it back down to 5, but not to 0 because they're still out of focus being there in the distance. Okay. All right, now it's time to add Lucky Dog. All right, so you've got that other file you have to have open called LD Final Walk, and there's the movie clip of Lucky Dog, and that's how he's going to be walking. So I'm going to copy this. This walk cycle is a bit better than previous versions of him that you've got because inside not only are there the motion tweens, but they've been lengthened by a frame. Each one of these 4 motion tweens has been lengthened by 1 frame to make it more natural, make it slower. So I'm going to copy this, copy that movie clip there, go back over here to my BunnyBiz QuickPan file. I need to make a layer for Lucky Dog to appear on. So I'm going to create a layer above the ground layer. And I'm going to call it Lucky Walking. Okay, and then he's going to appear. I just want to get him in the film about frame 250. So I'll do Control, Insert Blank Keyframe, and then I will do Paste. And there's the movie clip right there. Now he's a little bigger than I want him to be. He's just a little bit out of scale from what I want. So I'm going to shrink him down a little bit. Maybe more like, and move him down too. Okay. And then I don't want him to appear just yet, so I'm going to move him off stage a little bit. I'll put him over here. like that. Actually, as I look at this, Lucky's going to be walking into the scene, and it's going to happen too abruptly if he's that close to the stage. So let me just move him a little further left here on frame 250. There we go. Now he can kind of gradually come into the scene, which he's going to do. Let me put a motion tween on this. Control, create motion tween, and then at 270, I'll make another keyframe. And at 270, he's going to be here on the stage. Okay, but just like everything else, there was a correction. Let's see, I think the zoom. Yeah, it's not quite right. He's coming onto the stage while the bushes are passing him, so I think I better go back here and move him even farther left. So that when he comes onto the stage, the background stuff is not passing him. Just a little further left. Let's go. Okay. There we go. About like that. That's about where he should be in regards to getting onto the stage by 270 without being too disoriented from the background. Now at 275, the same thing's going to happen to him that happened to the bushes and the trees. There's going to be a correction. So he's going to go back off stage a little bit, because as the camera zooms in on him and then corrects, he goes off stage a little bit too. Okay, I'm not going to worry about a blur on him. I guess I could. If I wanted to, I would just go to frame 250, give him a blur, maybe, I don't know, 15, and then here at 270, keep it, but then once I get to 275, take it off. There we go. That's more natural. Now he's doing the same thing. He's entering the scene, but he's interacting with the camera and appearing and blurring just the way the other elements are. Okay. Now, so he enters the scene. It's going to take him about 2 seconds to get to the bunnies. And that's roughly 50 frames because there's 24 frames per second. So we're currently at 275. So, you know, at frame 325 is where he's going to catch up with the bunnies. So I'm going to go out here to frame 325. And I'm going to make a keyframe for him. F6 right there, frame 325. Okay, I'm also going to make keyframes for the ground at 325. The trees, well, the bushes, the trees, and the mountains, all at 325. Okay. And you'll see that it focuses in on him, and then he's going to be in a movie clip walking. So he will seem to be walking, but the other elements aren't moving yet. So they actually need to start moving again to the left to accommodate his walk cycle. So we'll do that in a little bit. But another thing, the Lucky walking layer goes all the way out to frame 400 automatically. When I put that motion tween on there, it went out there automatically. That's too far. I need to get rid of those frames after 325. So the easiest way to do that is press on the right side of that, on the right side of 400. Press and drag to the left and go up to 326, do a control press and remove frames, and now that motion stops at 325. Okay. Now at frame 326, I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. Okay, and then I'm going to go to 325, copy the lucky walking clip, go to 326, I'll paste in place, Shift-Command-V, there he is. Now here I want Lucky to be stopped, I want him to be standing. And so I will need to do a swap duplicate so that I don't mess up his movie clip there. And I think I want him to be actually a little further. Let me delete that. Let me go back here. I want him to be fully on the stage by here. There we go. So I'll copy that. I'll go here and I'll do Shift-Command-V, and there he is. Okay. Now I need to do a swap duplicate. Swap duplicate. I'm going to call this Lucky Stands because he's going to be standing here. So now I need to go inside of this new symbol, the Lucky Stand symbol. I'll double click, and I don't want a walk cycle. I don't want him to walk. I want him to stand. So the closest pose I have to him standing is frame 5. So I can get rid of these frames before frame 5 by pressing and dragging, and do control press, remove frames, and then I get rid of these frames after that, because that became frame 1, so I get all these frames, remove frames, and now he looks like he's standing, almost. All I got to do is rotate these things that are left here on his rear leg to make him look like he's standing. So I'll select to unlock these. I'll select the shin, the heel, the toe, and get the transform tool, move the rotation point to the knee, rotate that down, and then move it to the right, line it up there, maybe up a little bit. I'm trying to align the shin with the thigh there. Okay. Now I'll straighten out the feet. There, I'll get those. Transformation tool, maybe move that point to the ankle, rotate that foot down, and now he looks like he's standing. So now I can move out of this symbol, and there he is. He's standing still in front of the holes there. Well, he will be once we get done. Okay, so he's there now, and let's go back. We're at scene 1. Let me zoom out. All right, Lucky's going to stand there for a couple of seconds and look at the bunnies. So I'm going to need to add some frames here. And so I'll extend this all the way to the end to 400. On the Lucky walking layer, I'll extend that to 400 to the end there. Okay. All right. Now the ground, bushes, and trees, they're going to need to move to the left to accommodate Lucky walking up to the holes there. So I'm going to at 325 on the ground, they've already got motion tweens on them. I'll select the ground, which is the holes movie clip, the bushes and the trees, and they're moving slowly toward Lucky as he's walking to them. So on frame 325, I've got the holes, the bushes, the trees. They're going to move left to this point to where Look, he's just come up to them like that. Okay. And then at this same frame, I'm going to take the filters off the, or I'm going to take the blur off the Holes movie there. Take that off. Okay. All right. I'll also move the mountains a little bit. Just nudge them over some. Just a few clicks. Okay. Now I'm going to extend these layers. Just the bushes, not the ground, but the bushes and the tree and the mountain to frame 400. I got to work on the ground layer though, because I have to do some things with that movie clip of the bunnies. One of the problems, if we were to test the movie, we'd see that the bunnies don't come up, and that's because there's 125 frames in that movie clip where nothing happens before they come up, and that's just too long. So we need a shorter version of this. So what I'm going to do is copy this Holes movie clip from frame 325, copy. I'll go to frame 326 and I'll insert a blank keyframe. I'll paste in place, Shift Command V. Then I'll do a swap duplicate. Swap, duplicate, I'll call this Holes Short. Then I'll go inside this movie clip and you'll see inside of it there's 125 frames, so nothing happens. So I'm going to get rid of these. I'll just highlight all those. And let's see here. Yeah, maybe give it a little. All right, maybe not all of it. I might just do 120. Okay, Control, press remove frames. So now it's shorter, and they should pop up now before the end of the movie. Okay, so now I'll go back out to scene 1, and now if I do Control Test Movie, see how that looks. I got the pan down, bunnies come up, and soon there's an anticipation move to the right, and then swing left, and then Lucky walks, he stops, and the bunnies, let me play that again. Make sure that the bunnies don't appear too soon. Yeah, they kind of are there before as he's walking up to him, and I want him to be gone. So the reason that's happening is the holes, as they move into the scene, the rabbits are coming up, and I don't want them to yet. So I need to split this motion and do a swap duplicate on this before they even come into the scene. Well, I can change a motion that already exists. I'm going to go out to about frame 305 here. Do Control press, and you can't see this, but I'm going to choose split motion. If you do Control press on this menu, if you look near the bottom, you'll see split motion, and that will allow you to edit part of a motion tween because they've been split now. So what I'll do here is, now that that's been split, here at frame 305, I will be able to change. I'll do another swap duplicate. So here we go. I'll do swap duplicate, and I'm going to call this Holes Only, because I don't want any. I do want the holes, but I don't want the bunnies. So I'm going to double click on this Holes Only, And layer 1, 2, and 3 is where the bunnies are. And so that's done. I go back out to scene 1. And now this is holes only. So between 305 and 325, there's no bunnies to come up. And then here immediately at 326, bunnies can come up. So that'll work. That'll work well. Okay, now I need to extend this layer out to 400 with an F5. And now the bunnies should appear. So let's test this out. Control, test movie. And down we go. Anticipation to the right, move left. Here he comes. Stops. Now the bunnies come up. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we're done with that part.